CSL Los Angeles. It's me, Amy Steinberg. I'm so happy to be with you today. I thought because we're going to be talking about self-love that we sing one of our favorites. It's fun to sing along. Please join me, everyone who's watching. I think we might have done it last time I was here. It goes like this. I love myself so much, so I can love you so much, so you can love you so much, so you can start loving me. I love myself so much, let me hear you, so I can love you so much, so you can love you, so you can love you so much, you got it, so you can start loving me. I love myself so much, so I can love you so much, so you can love you so much, so you can start loving me. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Well, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Hallelujah, singing this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This big heart, sing it with me. This big heart of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This big heart of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This big heart of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. From the top, I love myself so much, so I can love you, so I can love you so much, so you can love you, so you can love you so much, so you can start loving me.
We do love you already.
I
So
love you.
I think we'll have to change that song. I love myself so much so I can begin to learn to love you more and more and more and more.
I love you.
I love you. As we continue to celebrate love here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, we just had on our screen the one and only, the fabulous Amy Steinberg, joining us from Asheville, North Carolina. It's so wonderful to have her with us as she continues to shine her light on this Sunday, February 18th in the year 2024. And a big hello and welcome to each one of you. What a joy and pleasure it is to have you with us today as we open up into our virtual space. My nose just itched. For our Sunday celebration service. I'm Reverend Dr. Keith Cox, and I'm the spiritual leader here at our center, and I honor you, and I celebrate you, and I welcome you from wherever you may be joining us today, whether it's through Zoom and or YouTube and or later through another device where you access the recording. Know that exactly where you are, the divine is expressing itself in all of its greatness, all of its glory, all of its magnificence, and all of its perfection. That's just the simple truth of it. I'm excited today because on our bill, if you will, we have two ladies that are very dear to me. We have the one and only Amy Steinberg, which you've already experienced as our musical guest. And then we're continuing in the year 2024, the series called Conversations with Dr. Keith. And today we have, as we've seen already on the screen, and she'll come back later on, the one and only Reverend Dr. Maureen Hoyt here for us to have a conversation using quotes and things to ignite us and to spark within us a conversation around love. Love is our theme for the month, it being February. So let's all just relax and settle in and enjoy wherever we are in this moment. Hopefully you're cuddled up somewhere that brings you comfort and that you have a cup of tea, literal tea, not just spilling the tea, if you will. And let's enjoy our time together as we commune with the one and only thing that exists, the power of the divine. I'm going to begin by playing our opening slides to move us into that aspect of the morning. And then from there, we will not only experience the lovely little Frenchie on the screen, but we will experience what we have as our slideshow. So if the little Frenchie can turn his camera off, that would be greatly appreciated, and we'll continue with our slideshow. We are the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, and we come together on Sunday mornings to honor the individualizations of spirit itself. I'd like to begin with this hello of stating for all of us that you are indeed a gift to the world, to everyone whose life you touch, to know that your soul is eternally blessed with love and light, and that we each know the truth of our own being, and to know that we'll always be the gift that keeps on giving. As I said before, our theme for the month is love. In the teachings of the science of mind, which we primarily use here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Dr. Ernest Holmes defines love as the self-givingness of spirit, whose desire is to create more of itself out of itself, and it does that through you, and it does that through me. And so today, let's open up to being that self-givingness of spirit in an individualized way, in a way that not only brings us more peace and joy and beauty and light and life, but we share that with others. We welcome all races, all religions, all ethnicities, all countries of origins, all genders, all sexual orientations, all abilities, all disabilities, all spoken languages. We honor all people. We welcome you, we acknowledge you, we celebrate you just as you are, walking this earth, expressing your humanity and allowing your divinity to make itself known. So let's just all know together that as we continue to teach the science of mind and other philosophies that propagate oneness of life, we look at that oneness not as a numerical concept, but as a reflection of the wholeness of life that exists. Dr. Ernest Holmes, in the teaching of the science of mind, says there's only one power, one life, one mind, one presence, and that you and I experience and express that as its stamp of individuality. He says that spirit has placed the stamp of individuality upon itself and called it you. The reason that's of importance is because we're all unique expressions of the divine. The more that we tune in and accept that, the more and more we get to experience that divinity in a new way. That matters because as we practice an understanding of the life itself and an understanding that we live in a universe that's governed by spiritual law, meaning that life responds to us by corresponding to our state of mind, then the more in tune we become not only with the power itself, but we become awakened to play a more conscious role in how we use the power and the presence in our life. The vision statement for our community is supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. Today, I invite in for all of us to become more and more awakened to the power itself and how we indeed use it. Our next slide on the screen takes us into our morning ritual. And our morning ritual is one that we obviously do in the morning, and we do it each and every Sunday morning. And in as much as it may feel rote being a ritual, I invite all of us to hear it anew today. Hear it from that place of tuning into the power and the presence that exists within us. It's called calling in the light. And so, as we perform this ceremony, we do so to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. The purpose of this ritual is to draw into our gathering this morning a more conscious awareness of our oneness and the qualities that we possess as complete expressions of the divine. I invite us all to look into the flickering flame on the orb on the screen and to know that those qualities include peace, power, beauty, joy, light, life, love, and wisdom. So as we feel the vibrations shift during this ritual, this experience, may we each become ever more aware of the light of life that exists in and as all expressions of life, which obviously includes you and it includes me. I'd like to share a treatment by Dr. Ernest Holmes. And I invite you all to take a deep breath in and feel it for yourself. It's spoken in the first person, meaning I, and I invite you to hear these words I as if you're saying them yourself. Dr. Holmes writes, I know that there is a power for good which is responding to me and bringing to me, to my experience, everything that is necessary to my unfoldment, to my happiness, to my peace, to my health, and to my success. I know there is a power for good that enables me to help others and to bless the whole world. So I say quietly to myself, there is one life. That life is God. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. It's flowing through me, circulating in me. I am one with its rhythm. My heart beats with the pulsation of the universe in serenity, in peace, and in joy. My whole physical being is animated by the divine spirit, and if there's anything that in it that does not belong, it is cast out because there is one perfect light, one perfect life in me now. Just feeling that energy shift. Amy's going to come on and take us through a song and a chant called Holy Light.
With God. Join me singing, I am holy light. 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 I am one with God. With God, I am one with God. I am one with God. I am one. I am one with God.
And so it is. So, Amy, I know you're excited about, you can stay on, I know you're excited about the theme love right now, to soar with
Always.
love. And you've had a wonderful week of not only playing in love, but loving yourself. And sharing with us earlier, you've been doing some stand-up comedy this week. How fabulous.
So scary, but so fun.
I love it. It's the invigoration of the pulsation of the divine within,
Yes.
right? I love it. I love it. So what song do you have for us now?
Well, I think I'm going to, since we're going to be talking about soaring in love, then I'm going to sing my song Flying on Faith
I
because
love it.
this teaching makes me feel like I'm flying. Okay,
Good.
here we go. invite you to chair dance. You could go ahead, tiptoe through your life, digging in the dirt. You could stress on the strife, but I'm gonna fly past the worry and the pain today. I'm flying on faith. I'm flying on faith. Said you could cry all night about the things that you hate, so dissatisfied in so many ways, but I'm gonna find a way to celebrate today. I'm flying on faith. I'm flying on faith. I picked up my baggage and I threw it out the door. Stop looking back because the past is such a bore. I'm gonna stand with the moon, with the stars up in my face. Today, I'm flying on faith. I'm flying on faith. Woo! You can't hurry full of worry, let the fear take you out. Imagining the worst overcome with doubt. There's no way to know, knowing is the way today. Today, I'm flying on faith. I'm flying on faith. I picked up my baggage and I threw it out the door. Not looking back because the past is such a bore. I'm gonna stand with the moon, with the stars up in my face. Today, I'm flying on faith. I'm flying on faith. You could go ahead and tiptoe through your life, digging in the dirt. You could stress on the strife. I'm gonna fly past the worry and the pain today. Sing it with me. I'm flying on faith. I'm flying on faith.
Yes, you are. How appropriate of a song, because the staying in the theme of love, my acronym for faith is full assurance in the heart. So I'm flying on a full assurance of my heart, which is the symbol
Oh, I
obviously
love
for
that.
love. Right? So we're soaring with
Full
love.
assurance
Fly
in
on
the
faith.
heart. I'm
Yes.
gonna write that down.
Okay. Amy, so glad you're here. So glad you're
Yay.
here. Cool. All right, see you in a bit. So I am welcoming to the screen the one, the only, the Reverend Dr. Maureen Hoyt, my soul sister, who is so excited to be with us today, and we're so excited to have her with us today. Hello.
Hi,
How are you doing?
I am so good.
Good.
My
So it's
daughter just walked in the door with 24 paper towel rolls, and I'm so happy.
I was gonna say if she walked in with just 24 paper towels, that's very specific, but 24 rolls of paper towels.
Yes,
Sounds like someone's been to Costco.
that's exactly right. And I pride myself on never going there. So she goes there for me.
I hear you. So it sounds like she's soaring with love in a new way, the one and only Heather Hoyt.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. She-
Hello, dear one.
Hello.
Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living on a Sunday morning. You know you're so dear to us, so we're so happy to get to share this time together.
I'm looking at some of the names on the screen, and I feel like it's been forever since I've seen anybody from CSL-LA. It's time for me to do an in-person visit.
Well, we're there the second Sunday of every month, and on Easter we'll be there. So
So,
I know that for someone, much like many of your cohorts, to be a retired minister, you surely keep yourself busy. So you're you're running all kinds of stuff. So
Yes, yes, I am. And if I didn't want to do it, I wouldn't be doing it.
I know that.
And I
Yes.
think that's the thing. Yesterday, I did a home visit in the afternoon that ended up being a 2.5 hour visit with this person. And I got to see the sunset from the very top of the mountains overlooking Westlake. And it was the added bonus, of just being there in that sort of mystical moment when the sun dips right below the
Mhm.
horizon. So it was a beautiful, beautiful afternoon. Beautiful
One of the
afternoon.
things I love so much about the sunset, besides the mystical, miraculous nature of it, is to think of all the times in my life that the sunset has had such great meaning. And it's a both a metaphor and a literal kind of reflection into the depth of consciousness that we each have individually, which is all one facet of the one consciousness. So, standing on the highest peak in Westwood, I'm sure you were able to think about being able to soar with love, but
Yes.
which is
Oh,
our theme for the month.
what a terrific segue. You're
Thank
very
you. You think I've done this
yes.
before? So I want to build the foundation for our conversation today. That our month's theme is to soar with love, and my acronym, as we all know, I love acronyms. For love is life's one vital energy. And as I shared with you earlier, you and Amy, have been talking all month about self-love, which we were building upon the quote from the great RuPaul last week. If you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love somebody else? Can I get an amen up in here?
Amen.
What does any
Amen.
of that mean to you?
Well, I can't even this is a terrible thing to start something because I can't remember the guy's name who wrote the book. He was a keynote speaker at a Asilomar, and his whole position was is if we don't love ourselves first, how can we love anyone else? And my when I was teaching regularly teaching Science of Mind 100, the first year classes, one of the requirements of the students was when somebody paid them a compliment, not just to say thank you, but to say thank you, I know,
Hmm.
so that knowing that. And someone said, "Well, that sounds so egotistical. Can I just say it under my breath?" No, you have to say it out loud because if other people don't know that we love ourselves, it's because we don't know that we love ourselves. And I find it a distraction sometimes with people when they make self-deprecating comments where we all know that we're probably our own worst judge when it comes to uh, maybe appearance, maybe what's going on in our lives, whatever that might be. And if at the core of who we are is love, which is a sort of a synonym for God, then we're messing with the God presence within us. And this, to me, is uh, sin. I'm
Mhm.
going to just say it out loud. Sin.
Good.
I said it now. But my acronym for sin is self-inflicted nonsense.
Oh, I love that. Write
So
that one down, Amy.
yes. Yeah, write that one down. So I see that I begin to pay attention to the languaging of the people
Hmm.
around me more carefully, not to correct them like I want to correct grammar on Facebook, but
What do you mean, want to?
um,
Yeah, no.
yes, I want to, but I resist the temptation lately. Um, but but I want to understand why someone would be so hard on themselves. And I think it's a conditioning, don't you?
Well, it's definitely a conditioning, and not only that, I think it's a conditioning not to love ourselves, that we're actually supposed to project that love onto others first. And that is because we're taught that we are supposed to seek things as opposed to be things, right? And I also think it's that we're taught that love is all about emotion, right? As opposed to really understanding, as the Greeks tell us, there's four facets of love, right? So which is the romantic love. There's the philia love, which is the erotic love. Then there's the family love, and then there's the agape love, right? So the reason I think that's important is so that we can understand that the emotional piece is important, but to be able to develop that emotional piece, we must allow the spiritual piece, the agape love, to be that we have to know that through our awareness and acceptance of it, that then helps us build a framework of being to then share the emotional piece. Dr. David Hawkins says we're confused. I'm paraphrasing this, that we're confused to think that love is an emotion. It's not. It's a state of awareness, right?
So
So,
I was actually going to say something very similar to that, because uh, the idea of love as an emotion is predicated on something outside ourselves.
right.
Happiness and sadness, same kind of emotions that are predicated on how we feel about something that's going on outside ourselves. And love is a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Love is, if you look at it ontologically from a spiritual basis, it is totally and completely something that we feel from within and emanate out.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that when you walk into a room of, like Carol Mace would say, of 100 people, if you have a history of being wounded or abused in any way, you will seek out the other person in the room that has that same experience. And the idea of having to say to someone, I love you unconditionally, already puts a condition on it.
Touche.
So love is felt. Unconditional love is a felt thing. It is not necessarily a spoken thing.
Right.
So there's that aspect of it too. But the idea of loving someone, as one of the things Ernest Holmes talks about in The Science of Mind, is he talks about uh, conversation being one of the highest forms of intimacy,
Mm-hmm.
because in that conversation, we want to be heard, we want to be understood, and that's what love is all about: having someone in our lives who understands us completely. And I feel like that's what you are for me,
Oh, thank you.
as
And you are
as
for
my
me.
yes, as my friend, that I can say crappy stuff to you and you don't remember it and call me on it at a later time.
Oh, no, 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 no. Of
And
course not.
and we have an understanding, and I think love is about understanding.
Well, we have a trust.
Absolute trust.
Trust, right? That
Yes. Yeah.
is really deep. So, well, thank you for that. And the feelings mutual. I want to share something. I'm going to read something. I know you have something to read for us later, but I'm going to
Yeah.
read something for us right now. And well, there's several reasons I want to share it today because I think it's appropriate for what we're talking about. But something you shared with me a long time ago, and when I first became a minister and started doing weddings, and I, as always, will reach out to you for any type of ceremonial thing. And you sent this to me, and it's something that I read in a wedding ceremony. I believe you probably do as well. And I want us to hear it, but I want us to hear it about loving ourselves as opposed to somebody else. And it's from the book Gifts from the Sea by Anne Morrow Lindbergh. Look at you smile. I knew you would know that. So when you all hear me read this, and it says, when you love someone, in your mind, think of it being yourself. All right? So Anne writes, when you love someone, you do not love them all the time in exactly the same way from moment to moment. It's an impossibility. It's even a lie to pretend to. And yet, this is what most of us demand. We have so little faith in the ebb and flow of life, of love, of relationships. We leap at the flow of the tide and resist terror, its ebb. We are afraid it will never return. We insist on permanency, on duration, on continuity, when the only continuity possible in life, as in love, is in growth, in fluidity, in freedom, in the sense that the dancers are free, barely touching as they pass, but partners in the same pattern. The only real security is not in owning or possessing, not in demanding or expecting, not in hoping even. Security in a relationship lies neither in looking back to what was in nostalgia, not forward to what it might be in dread or anticipation, but living in the present relationship and accepting it as it is now.
Mhm. I love, 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 love Anne Morrow Limber.
Mhm.
I love it. You know that that speaks volumes to me about being in a committed relationship with somebody, whether it's your children, your spouse, your friends. It's really about our being able to separate uh, how we feel about that person, how we love that person with their behavior. And I had to learn that with my children, especially, is that I I I may not like their behavior, but I will always love them. You know, I'll like you forever. I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my children you'll be.
Uh-huh.
That's from a book that I used to read to them when they were children. But I had to separate the behavior from the feeling that I have about them, because I grew up in a generation, probably you did too, where we were told you're a bad boy, you're a bad girl. You know, that's a commentary on one's whole life. And we had unskilled parents. So my children grew up knowing, first of all, that there was never any punishment for telling the truth. I still wouldn't like their behavior, but there was no punishment for telling the truth. And I would never stop loving them, even though they did stupid stuff as they were growing up. And I think that's true in a specifically in a marriage or a committed mate to mate relationship. That what Anne Morrow Lindbergh talks about in that piece is that we step back as the observer of the relationship. And when we can do that, you know, that those are people who get to be married 40, 50, 60
Mhm.
years.
So let's look at that in the lens of the relationship to the self.
Yes.
That's how I would like for us to frame that today, because let's just reframe it. She says, when you love yourself, you do not love yourself all the time in exactly the same way from moment to moment. It's an impossibility. It's even a lie to pretend to. And yet, this is exactly what most of us demand of ourselves.
Mhm.
We have so little faith in the ebb and flow of life, of love, of relationships. We leap at the flow of the tide and resist terror its ebb. We're afraid it will never return. We insist on permanency, on duration, on continuity, when the only continuity possible in life, as in love, is in growth, in fluidity, in freedom.
Just think of fluidity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, seriously, expand on that for yourself.
Well, that's what I want us to look at, is that if we look at that in the sense of the fluidity of the energy of spirit within us and our awareness and acceptance and participation in it, right? It's always there. It doesn't change, but it is energy, so it's fluid at all times, as the dancers are free. Then what we're called to do, as she states in the end of this poem, is the only real, I don't know if you call it a poem, but the end of this, the only real security is not in owning or possessing, and not in demanding or expecting, not in hoping even.
Yeah.
The only security in relationship with the self, with the divine, right, lies neither in looking back to what was in nostalgia, not forward to what it might be in dread or anticipation, but living in the present.
Yeah.
And I like the next and. It doesn't say living in the present, period. It's living in the present, not even a comma, and accepting it as it is now.
Yeah. Acceptance. I strive for that. I'm not going to lie. I have a hard time right now with some of the things that are going on in the world for acceptance. And I, do, I came to understand that uh, if if I could if I could give one uh, nugget of advice today to anyone, I would say to them that we have to be involved to be evolved.
Mm-hmm.
And involved means having a relationship with a capital S self, as you're alluding to, not alluding to, you're actually saying that. Um,
Thank you.
but it is sometimes
An insight to our
probably,
relationship, everyone, right there.
yes,
Yes.
yes. Well, sometimes we have such a history, of religious belief or spiritual belief that is incongruent with who we are today. And there's that, that fight, like that Native American thing, that where the little kid's asking his grandfather, I have two wolves, one black wolf and one white wolf, and which one is going to win? And the grandfather says, the one you feed.
Right.
We have to stop feeding that that old part of ourselves and work from today's consciousness, because I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago. I'm probably not the same person I'll be 5 years from now if I'm still on the planet. But it is it is to understand that the past is for information only.
Hmm.
Information only. You can't go back and recreate it. So you might as well start from today and create a new ending.
I agree. So when you said you have a hard time accepting what's going on in the world, I want to look at that for a second because my sense is you that makes perfect sense. I'm sorry, I just got I have been when I have moments of clarity in my life right now and healing, hummingbirds keep showing up, and one just showed up at the window. Um, so, and they've been all over me and my neighborhood of late. Anyway,
I'll let you be brilliant today. You can be brilliant and tell me whatever it is you were going to say before you were interrupted by the
well,
hummingbird.
what I was going to say was I get it that we are all get distracted and annoyed and saddened and disheartened by the effects of the world. No doubt about it. I spent way too much time yesterday um, reading, listening, hearing about that $354 million fine, right? Way too much time. But then I remembered that I'm not here to look at effects. I'm here to, in our teaching, we're taught to return to cause, right? In other words, to return to shifting my state of thinking, my way of being, which will then ultimately shift my experience if I'm open to the journey, right? So we all know that, but we need to be reminded of that, right? It's a constant journey of that, and it is all about in those moments of not. Once I came clear that I had just spent way too much time doing that, to not judge myself, to love myself in that moment, right? Okay, I forgive myself, I love myself. How can I start fresh, right? There's this, I know that you love things that pop up on social media, Facebook primarily, as do I. And you and I have a mutual friend, and who is I believe he's a priest, um, Darrell Watkins. He's a minister, I know. But he posted this thing for Ash Wednesday. And normally I would have somewhat of a visceral reaction just to the whole concept of Ash Wednesday. But this writing speaks so true to what I think we teach. And I think it's a reminder for all of us to remember who we are as divine beings as we're trying to navigate to the best of our ability our humanity. And here's what's written. And it's written by Bishop Dion K. Johnson. And I'm assuming it's what was stated as the ash was placed. Remember, you are dust, the substance of the stars, animated with the breath of life, uniquely formed in the image and likeness of divine love, authored in hope, forged in joy, very good, very good. No accident we, this beloved quickened dust, knit to love and be loved, remember you are dust. Amen.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw so many people Wednesday with ashes on their forehead.
Uh-huh.
And on Stephen Colbert that night, he had Mark Wahlberg on, and he came to the chair to be interviewed by Stephen Colbert with the ashes on his forehead, and it was like this moment of deja vu, remembering the ritual with such a sense of awe and the
Mm-hmm.
mystery of it all. but this person that you're sharing about has kind of put it in its place. I don't want to leave this thing about me not being in acceptance, because I realize my dear beloved, now departed Walter Stark, he told me one time, he said, Maureen, anger changes nothing in the physical reality. It's only a catalyst for change. So I realize that when I feel angry about something, it's it's I have to do my inner work in order to change my belief system about how I'm perceiving something in the world. And then when I saw Gloria Steinem, oh gosh, it was in the 70s sometime, with Maria Shriver and Oprah Winfrey. She said something so interesting. She said, change doesn't occur from complacence or contentment. It only occurs from irritation. And I thought, whoa. So then I'm expecting all this change to come up because I've been really irritated lately, you know. Uh, and I think there are a lot of people that feel irritated, but they're unwilling to take, like Barker would have said, the power of decision is not in the decision, but taking the action that goes with the decision. So I thought, okay, what can I do? What can I do? If I change my own mind, then I'm much more capable of working with someone else to help them figure out how to change their mind. And I think that's being the involved part and the evolved part come into play there, because we can't, you and I as religious scientists, and everybody who's on listening today, as religious scientists, we have the ability to share this teaching with other people so that they know that they don't have to be in unacceptance. They don't have to be in irritation. They don't have to be in anger. They can move out of that and be a catalyst for change.
I love that. I love the concept of it's through the irritation, really, through the change that something emerges, right?
Yes.
If we look at nature as an example, it shows us that. And everything from labor pains to give birth, right?
Yeah.
To the seed must protrude through the husk, right?
Yeah.
Right, for the earth, there's an earthquake, right? So it's all, that's all friction. It's if we look at it through the lens of it's through that energy that something is being birthed, something new is
Yes.
being birthed, right? So then it takes us back to, I oftentimes go back to what drew me to this teaching. And there were two things that drew me to this teaching. And one was the quote, really, spirit has placed the stamp of individuality upon itself and called it you, right? And the other was change your thinking, change your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And in those very simple terms, that's really what it is. And if I were to break that down, the changing your thinking, change your life part um, awakened within me when I first heard that the individual, can really do something about making my life different than it is right now, right? Then there are layers as to how that's happened, but just that alone was a spark for me. And then the spirit has placed the stamp of individuality upon itself and called it you, let me know that I'm not less than, right? That in itself was a huge awakening for me, meaning less than others. That spirit hasn't said I'm a mistake, right? So playing with those two ideas helped me personally start to build a foundation in mind to create a life that I desire to experience and express. Because it's really all about expressing it so that you can experience it, right?
Yeah.
And then once I started understanding that the law of life responds to us by corresponding, then that's another whole layer. You know, Holmes writes, we should come to consider the law and the spirit as friends and think of them as such. In this way, we shall gradually go from good to more good and from peace to greater peace. This is the natural unfoldment of reality through the human. I paraphrase there. We should expect the best, and so live that the best may become a part of our experience.
Yeah. The interesting part about oh gosh, I just lost my train of thought. I'm
Uh-huh.
old. I'm officially old.
Okay,
Um,
reframe that.
okay, so I think about how I'm working with the practitioners at Granada Hills now.
Uh-huh.
My second year as head of practitioners. I didn't plan to do it, but it's become a joyful experience for me. And one of the things that I try to point out to the practitioners is that their job is to be the encouragers, to
Uh-huh.
encourage other people to find the love within themselves so that they can then go out and encourage other people as well. And the beauty of that is that when Ernest Holmes said in The Science of Mind, he said that our only job as a practitioner is to love our client to their wholeness.
Mm-hmm.
And I just when I saw that and heard that the first time, I was already a practitioner. They rewrite the textbook every time I read it. So I didn't notice that the first time. But our only job as students of this teaching, whether you're a practitioner or not, is to love the people who come to us to their wholeness.
So I'm assuming that he's speaking of love in two manners there. He's speaking of love to the best of your ability emotionally, but he's more importantly speaking to it as love as the self-givingness of spirit. It's to
Absolutely.
affirm the spiritual nature of that individual
Yes, yes,
until they and know that for them
yes,
until and affirm it and know it and affirm it until and as they know and affirm it for themselves,
yes.
right?
Yeah. So
That's a
quick,
big call, by the way.
pardon?
That's a big call.
It
I said,
is a very big call. It is. And sometimes when I see the behavior of some of the people that come to me for coaching or counseling, I- you know, I I I get angry because I remember having those behaviors myself. And there's a certain level where I want them to make that giant leap from where they are today to where they they could be. And I have to know that everybody does that in their own time. Last Friday, I don't often have clients come to the house. I do most of my coaching and counseling on Zoom, but this fellow is someone I admire and respect. He was at CSL Westlake with me. He and his wife were incredibly generous, and he wanted to work with me uh, privately on mental equivalence and how, what we think shows up in our experience. And he said, well, why does that happen in a certain way for certain people and not in the same way for other people? Well, that was a little bit much for the first session with him. However, I we chatted for a little bit before we got going, and I said, okay, I want to set the intention for our time together. So I'm doing an opening treatment, and I will we'll do that, and then we'll continue with the coaching and the counseling. So it was at 1:47 in the afternoon on last Friday, a week ago Friday. I finished the treatment. I said, and so it is, and the earth moved.
uh-huh.
There was an earthquake out in Malibu, and it just came soaring right through my house. And I opened my eyes and I looked at him, and he goes, "Oh my God!" He said, "That was prophetic." Like he said that prayer was so powerful that it caused an earthquake. I said, "Well, hang on there just a second. I don't take personal responsibility for earthquakes." But the funny part of that is is that he has called me 3 times this week, left a message to say that he's still in awe of what happened. And as we were talking, I said, part of the mental equivalent for you is that you were given a bill of goods, sold a bill of goods as you were growing up. There was something about you that was not lovable. And I said, would it be safe to say that maybe you had unskilled parents? I said, how are you as a parent to your two children? And he said, I'm doing everything that my parents didn't do. And I said, that's the love that you have within you that you're extending out to your world. If you change the lives of your two children and they change the lives, each one of them, of two more and two more, it's an exponential shift in consciousness. And I think we
And that
don't,
is an equivalent of an earthquake.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. So when he made his appointment for the next session, he said, do we know of any evident seismic activity going on in the near future? Apparently, there's quite a bit of it going on, but
I think it's always going on if we were to
yes,
be
it
really
is. It's all,
truthful.
yeah,
Right. It
yeah.
just happened to have happened in a way that you felt it.
Well, and just the idea of we speak to experiences we have as earth shaking,
Hmm.
you know?
Well, I think an earthquake is a little more than sometimes that's earth shattering. So,
I
but
know.
I think where I would take that for us as we're coming closer to a close of our time together is a great teacher of mine by the name of Reverend Dr. Maureen Hoyt used to tell me many times, and I use this often, is that our spiritual awakening, the earthquake, the earth shattering, can happen through us either through inspiration or
Yes,
desperation,
yes,
right?
yes.
We have a choice. We have a choice as to what we're both um, providing spirit, providing mind, and how we respond to that. And so, in the keeping of the theme to soar with love, the quote we have is if you want to soar in life, you must first learn to fly. And fly being an acronym for first loving yourself. So, my invitation for all of us is to not only begin to love ourselves more and more, but to allow the love of the divine to do its thing through us. I will say that if there's one of my greatest spiritual awakenings in the God knows how many years, 40 almost it's been now that I've been, well, it has been 40, been a participant in the teachings of the science of mind, is by trying to live the lyrics of the song by Ricky Byers Beckwith of use me, right? Use me. When we first come into this teaching, it's all about using it, the power. But I think ultimately where the greatest spiritual awakening is not to qualify it, but if you know what I mean by that, is to allow it to use us, right? To open up to it doing its thing through us. That's really what we do in spiritual mind treatment, right? As a practitioner and or a minister. So I'm going to close with a quote, but I want your take on this quote based on your life experience and your journey and your inspiration. And it's by Martin Luther King. And it's use me, God. And when I use the word God, for those of you that may or may not tune into that word, know that in this teaching, the science of mind, we call that power also source or the thing itself. We look at the power, the word God, as an infinite, impersonal, all creative power, the source of all. So I'm going to begin the quote again. Use me, God. Show me how to take who I am, who I want to be, and what I can do, and use it for a purpose greater than myself.
Wow, wow. So, that being said, uh, that's paying it forward.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is that we learn that is life changing for us, we can't keep it for ourselves, Keith. We have to pay it forward. We have to be able to share that with somebody else. I think that's why the AA and NA programs are so successful because they share their experience, strength, and hope with other people in the group so that someone who comes in brand new is just in recovery a few days. There's a possibility that that 3 days could be 30 days at some point, could be 3 years, could be 30 years at some point too. So, so yeah, Yeah, it's an important aspect of what we learn in this teaching is to be able to share it with other people. Not in a way that makes them uncomfortable, but in a way that is nurturing
Hmm.
and caring. So
Great.
yeah.
So I'm
So
going to give my interpretation of that quote as we close, because I love how that is definitely what we're being called to do, to pay it forward. But I believe often that paying forward is a result of a sense of security and self awareness with an uppercase S, meaning the divine itself. So when
yeah,
it says here, show me how to take who I am and what I want to be and what I can do and use it for a purpose greater than myself, I believe it's saying, allow the divine within you to guide you. And if
yes,
whether, no matter where you go, no matter who you're choosing to be, and whoever you're around, just let the divine guide you.
yeah,
That in and of itself is a purpose greater than the self.
yes.
The self. So thank you so much for being
So
here
I
today.
have something I
Oh,
wanted
that's
to
right. I want you
share.
to read
Yes.
that. Yeah.
So one of my favorite authors is John O'Donohue.
Uh-huh.
And his very first book is still my all-time favorite, Anam Cara. And he and David White, the poet we had as a keynote speaker at Asilomar a few years ago. Oh, no, he wasn't at Asilomar. Reverend Jeannie Hoffman and I went to a weekend in January of just David White poetry at Asilomar. And that was just right after John O'Donohue had passed away. But to soar with love, the theme, this is what he wrote in Anam Cara. And Keith, to be honest, this is how I feel about you. And
Oh.
this is how I feel about other people in our movement that I love, all my third kingdom husbands that I have. So he says this. He says, in everyone's life, there is a great need for an anam cara, a soul friend. In this love, we are understood as we without mask or pretension. The superficial and functional lies and half truths of social acquaintances fall away. We can be as we really are. Love allows understanding to dawn, and understanding is precious. When we are understood, we are at home.
Mm.
When we really feel understood, we feel free to release ourselves into the trust and the shelter of the other person's soul. Consequently, love is anything but sentimental. In fact, it is the most real and creative form of the human presence. Love is the threshold where divine and human presence ebb and flow into each other.
Oh, how
Isn't
fabulous.
that beautiful?
That's beautiful.
And
So
you know what,
is.
Keith, on the heels of the Martin Luther King quote, I think we have to understand that the word God is just a placeholder for the ineffable.
Mhm.
That's something that's indescribable. To be able to say God, and that great metaphysician, um, oh, 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 darn it. Now I can't remember who he was. Anyway, he said, pretty soon there won't be a pronoun good enough for God. So
Well, for
he,
those of
she,
us that
it,
are canine lovers, we know there's no mistake that the word
yes,
God and dog have the same letter. So,
yes, 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 yes,
all right, my dear,
yes.
stay on. I'm going to have you, you can
Okay,
turn your camera off, but I'm going to have you come back and do a meditation or spiritual mind
okay.
treatment at the
I
end.
will do that. Yes.
Love you. We're going to invite Amy back to do another song for us as we wrap up the day. Hello, Amy.
Hello. Well, I really enjoyed that. And I, of course, wrote some things down, what you guys were talking about. And
Fabulous.
I was thinking I would sort of tack it on the end of this song.
Love it. Go for it,
There's,
sister.
so here you go. There's a power in a seed, reminding itself how to become a tree. There's a power in a cell, and it's capable of making a you or a me. There's a power in a word, vibrating at a frequency, and there's a power inside that power inside that power. It is love, 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 and can feel it revealed when an open, broken heart begins to be healed. It breaks like the sky when a long, dark night starts spinning on the wheel of the world. Watch it rise. Out of the ashes comes another day, a bright light shining through your eyes. So much surprise every time we fall in love, 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 love. La da 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 da. All right, here's a little rap. What I learned today. Self-inflicted nonsense if we do not have self-love. We say, I know, because God is all we're made of. Love is not an emotion, but a state of awareness, a feeling from within that we're infinitely blessed. Unconditional love is a felt thing inside. Stardust, trust this energy of the divine. Love is free and fluid, it flows. The security of love is knowing that it grows. Living in the present, in relationship we can see. True love is living freely and truthfully. Right here, right now, this is how we accept all the love by being in the now. We have to be involved to be evolved. Capital S love, self-love is the place that we are called. Which wolf inside will grow? Or do you believe the wolf that grows will be the one that you feed? It's either to be affected from the world's devastation, but nothing will change without a little irritation. We have the ability to share what's true. The only way out if this journey is through. Nature shows us that we are being birthed in love. The self of love is affirming self-worth. Awaken to the power to have inside. Right, change your thinking, change your life. Show me what I can do and who to be. Allow the love to live, purposefully use me. The love that you give is the love that you make. Dr. Maureen can pray in an earthquake. Dr. Maureen can pray us an earthquake. Love, 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 love. Love, 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 love. Love, 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 love. Love.
Fantastic. Dr. Maureen can pray in an earthquake. Her prayer can cause an earthquake. I love it. Amy, I just love your ability to do that. It's such a it speaks to what we've been talking about today, that your own sense of self-love, of allowing the spirit to move through you, of trusting it. So thank you for
So
giving
fun.
yourself
Thank
permission
you.
to play that way.
I
And
love
for
y'all.
sharing it with us. That is that thing that Dr. Maureen was talking about. Just always wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So thanks for being here, Amy. Thank you, thank you. Love you, my dear. And so proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing. So thank you all for being here today. I'd like to invite you to support us financially. You can go to our website, csl-la.org, and there are ways to click on donate or use the app in the App Store. The app is called Center for Spiritual Living. And in that app, there's a great way to support us. You can mail a check into our center at 1200 North La Brea Avenue, West Hollywood, California. All of that information is on our website. You can also follow us on social media, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. We also have a New Thought text for the day that goes out each morning at 7:30. That's a great way to be inspired and to remember who and what we all are. Today's quote was by E. Tan, and it's this: the law of circulation states that all things in the universe are always flowing in circulation, but at an ever-expanding rate. What you give to one person, you'll receive from a different. It works according to the law of cause and effect, where the universe always mirrors back to you whatever you do. I affirm for each of us, today's a day that we open up to this awakening. Let's let our minds open up to feel it as an earthquake, and then consciously choose to give more of that which is within us, which is spirit, and let that be love, life's one vital energy. Thank you for being here. Thank you to Robert Hensley, who is our social media guy and administrative assistant. Travis for helping keep us all in line audio-wise. And let's all know that as the next week unfolds, it's one that we feel safe and secure physically in life, but also emotionally and mentally. That we've taken what we've heard today and allow it to be a foundation, a platform from which we choose to engage in life with a more awakened sense of who we are. I'm going to invite my beloved soul sister, Dr. Maureen Hoyt, back online to take us through a meditation or spiritual mind treatment, whatever's calling for her to do. And upon completion of that, we'll say goodbye to those of you on YouTube as we honor and appreciate you being here. And then if you're here on Zoom, we can stay on for a moment and say hello to each other. Without further ado, Dr. Maureen, I'm going to play
Thank
some
you.
music
And
for you in the background.
thank you, Dr. Keith, for inviting me today.
Welcome.
We we always have great conversations just with ourselves, but here we
Yes.
were with all these other people today. It's so just so wonderful, just so wonderful. So if you'll go within for a moment and find that perfect place of peace. And as my friend Reverend Helen Street used to say, the reason we close our eyes is because it's easier to see the spirit within. And so I know the power and presence of spirit has identified itself today by means of me, by means of Dr. Keith, by means of beloved Amy, knowing that we are God's means to be, that God so loved itself that it needed form to express, and it expresses individually as each one of us. We are that perfect creation of the divine. And so I know today that as we go about doing what we would normally do on a Sunday, that we access that part of ourselves, that love part of ourselves that is so far beyond anything in the physical reality, but is that pure essence of spirit within us, that love that has no bounds, that knows no dimensions, and creates a world where we don't take sides. As Dr. Arlene used to say, it's ridiculous to take sides in a world that is round. And so today we move through whatever might be going on for us. If we're experiencing a health challenge or a financial issue or a relationship challenge or how we want to creatively express in the world, we have to understand our structure of knowing about what is going on so that we can bring it to the surface to shine a conscious light upon it. That as we dismantle our previous structure of knowing and create a new structure of knowing from today's consciousness, everything falls into place to support that. The universe is waiting in silent repose to create the perfect life, the life that we've dreamed of, the life that is no longer a dream, but is our large R reality. And so today I know that our time together has been fruitful, that our time together has been joyful, that our time together has been constructive, and that whatever bits of information have been gleaned today from what was said or sung by any one of us today, that we take those bits of information and share it with others, because it is about paying it forward. And we get to know that we can change the world one person at a time. So today, I'm in absolute gratitude. I joyfully receive and give thanks for this opportunity to share this time and space with all of you, knowing that, as always, God is in the mix, all is well, in the present moment, as it always is, as we say together, and so it is.
So it is. Amen. Thank you all for being here. Peace out and love to you. Hope to see you soon. We're back next Sunday online, and then this following Sunday or the one after that, we're in person. Hope to see you. Peace and blessings.